Everybody, this is Chris Classic dropping a car vlog. It is a beautiful day in Indiana. The sun is out. Just a beautiful day. And I thank God for these kind of days because it's art. Even when it's raining and snowing, it's just art. It's just a living picture, a vivid living picture, and it's wonderful. Speaking of God, nobody tells you today, remember that I love you, Christ loves you, God loves you as well. I'm praying that you guys have a wonderful day. I know some people woke up thinking this was the end or thinking they wasn't love, but all the love is here, and I love y'all, and I always remember that. What's up, Raphael? God bless. Make sure you subscribe to the Take It Home podcast, where I talk about professional wrestling topics, and I put up my matches as classic alpha, professional wrestler of 14 years. Definitely a gift from God, a talent that I will not waste. I will use to serve the community and show that I am the best wrestler alive. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. If you guys have been looking at the episodes of Honey on Board, this is the stuff that I'm dealing with at home almost every day. So, still. My next match, I believe it's May 16th in Kingsford Heights in Indiana for Flow. Fantastic League of Wrestlers. That is my debut there. So, I don't know when I'll... who I'm facing or whatever, but it'll be a great show. Make sure you subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. With everything that's going on, you guys can see it through the Honey on Board episodes that I've uploaded on the C3 page and also this page as well. Make sure you look at that and understand what I'm going through. But we will push to our next show, May 23rd, which is called 20, signifying our 20th show in C3 Ultimate Wrestling's history. Tickets are on sale now on Eventbrite. Tickets are $5 off. There'll be $5 more at the door. Dyer, Indiana. Arrows, probably venue. Appreciate it. Hogan. Hulk Hogan is considered a hero and a villain in professional wrestling. Independence, anything. You have people that made jabs at him. You got people that love him. You have people that are so divided for some of the controversies and contributions that he has made to the wrestling business. A lot of people credit him for saving wrestling because wrestling was at a slump. They call it the golden era. They call it a reason. Golden is called first place. So Hulk Hogan has inspired millions of people, millions of wrestlers worldwide and everything. And still to this day he does. However, he is also a guy that people are tired of seeing. They don't want to see him. They want people to move on from that because of the controversies he's done in the business and even in the bedroom with somebody he wasn't even married to and other stuff as well. Wrestlers don't like him. Some honor him. Some are repulsed. Some think he's a revolutionary and stuff. One of the main things about the ads on WrestleMania weekend was that so many people were tired of seeing the Hulk Hogan Netflix documentary, which I will see. I know y'all gonna be mad. I actually do want to watch it. I do want to watch it and see what they're going to say. But still. But I bring up Hogan because so many people speak about Hogan as if when it's a wrestler that is getting a lot of things, or if it is a wrestler that they don't like, that they feel like they politic, they say, oh, they're Hogan. They're acting like Hogan. The jokes and the memes of that doesn't work for me, brother, that's because that is something that Hulk Hogan has said when it came to losing to somebody. Sting, preferably. But when people say that doesn't work for me, brother, that's how Hulk Hogan politicked and stuff like that. And I'm going to sit there and act like Hogan didn't politic. We all know he did. Am I going to sit there and say every bad decision as far as his career was Hogan's doing? No, outside of the personal stuff that he has said behind closed doors and certain things that he's even said in front of the camera. Sure, it's not perfect. No one is. But at the same time, if you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. This is not here. I'm not here to make you like him or hate him. Just using him because when people say Sami Hogan or Rhea Hogan or Cody Hogan or Becky Hogan, like they're saying they are using politics to win. Or they are building them as so unstoppable because at one time Hulk Hogan was deemed unstoppable to the fact that they call him Hogan. You know, Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, they called her that too. They called her Mercedes Hogan. So it's like this. This is how I feel they use it. They use that for wrestlers that most people don't like, and if they win something, even if they don't have no politics, they're going to say, oh, they must have creative control. You must be a Hogan. Rhea is getting a lot of flack about winning against Jade and also other situations because when they went to Twitter and they were going back and forth, and a lot of women were on Rhea's side about on Jade. Even women who are heels. Heels shouldn't be agreeing with faces like that on social media. That's why Vince didn't like that. I don't think a lot of wrestlers should be on social media speaking on personal terms and stuff like that, but still. So anyway, it all went down to Jade saying, "Oh, why don't you just go to creative and complain?" And then after that, it was a cryptic message from Jade about, Rhea about certain things and certain issues and stuff like that. So a lot of people's like, "Oh, she's going to politic," because they also see how she's heavily featured on Unreal, the show that shouldn't be there. So, Sid, what you found out about Rhea? So a lot of people feel a certain way about it. So her beating Jade is like, oh, well, she must have politicked and stuff like that. And another thing that Hogan does is when he is held accountable for things that he has done, he brings up, oh, I didn't know, or this was something happening. Sometimes it's valid reasons and sometimes it's excuses. I do think personally it's very odd that Rhea is speaking about a body, the eating disorder a few days before WrestleMania and stuff like that. Seemed like it was more for sympathy. Now, her known as, brutality and brutalizer and all of these other names and all of this stuff that we call her, that's not something that we would want. I wouldn't expect for her to be open about, especially when she be picking on people and stuff like that. How you project yourself on social media can also affect the legitimacy of your character. And I feel like that has happened a couple times. One time Rhea was beating up the Mysterios like it was nobody's business. And then she turned around, and when people were booing Maxine, because at one point people were sick of seeing Maxine, they felt like she wasn't going to improve, she went online and said, hey, how dare you guys? And it's just like, fam, you just literally beat up two men. So this is the thing about delving in personal accounts and then also kayfabe. Kayfabe is on life support. It's not technically dead, but still. See, I don't know if it's true, but I heard. But still, Sammy's also another one that people call Sami Hogan because it's just like they call him the one of the underdogs, but he usually wins a lot of his matches. Not saying he rarely loses, but still he wins a lot of his matches and stuff. And a lot of people wanted to see Carmelo Hayes at WrestleMania. Some didn't, some did. So when Sami came out of nowhere and won it, just to lose it, about a few weeks later to Trick, it was just like, dang. And Sami, they're trying to make him go with it, like, hey, y'all sick of me, I'm sick of y'all. I worked hard for this and stuff like that, and they flustered Sami with certain stuff. Like, people is like, what are y'all doing with Sami? I don't want to see Sami. And then they showed more Sami. Now, people calling Sami Hogan and all of this stuff, I don't have no personal gripe against none of these wrestlers. I want to sit here and reiterate that. I don't have nothing against these wrestlers. But sometimes a company can put these wrestlers in a bad light. They could definitely put them in a bad light. And this is definitely an example. Like I said, some people are just doing their jobs and stuff. Most people are going to project that Sami is going to win he's going to win the title in Saudi Arabia next year because he is Muslim and things like that. He has that kind of stuff in his bloodline. So many people believe that, and I think that's also another reason why people are booing and people are tired of him, because they just don't want to see it. So they're going to say he's Sami Hogan because he's indestructible. One second. Sorry about that. I'm definitely ordering. I had to taste some Popeyes. IWC keeps putting Hogan on wrestlers that win too much, which is annoying. I definitely agree with that. People trying to get on Rhea like she booked it herself. Exactly, and I think that's the point. Is sure I did want Jay to win. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, I wanted Jay to win because Rhea has done a lot in WrestleMania in the past 4 years. But at the same time, I'm not mad at that. She is the face of the women's division. And if there is a woman that is to beat a woman that is a powerhouse in Jade, Rhea would definitely be the one for sure. He is Canadian, but he has Syrian roots. He has Muslim roots. He has like a lot of stuff within him and stuff. So at one point he couldn't even go to Saudi Arabia because he had on his tights the Syrian flag or whatever, and they were scared that like they would go out to get him because I believe they were feuding with Syria. I could be wrong, but still there was a time where he couldn't even go to Saudi Arabia. They wasn't allowing him to. This was like the first time they went out there, and they could even. What kind of dipping sauce? Ranch, please.
$18.50 today.
All right, here you go. But yeah, it was like that was like the time where apparently WWE roster, they was like held for ransom dang near. They couldn't even fly out until some money issue was going on, finished with Vince McMahon and stuff. So thank you. All right. Thank you. All right, you too. Thanks. Ooh-wee. I'll tell you, I'm gonna go home and tear these Popeyes up. But still, excuse my etiquette about ordering and talking and stuff, but still, like that one time, like WWE wrestlers, they were like scared because they couldn't leave when they wanted to because it was some kind of issue with money, and I think like the president over there got killed or something like that. It was just a lot of stuff. But going to DP's point, a lot of these wrestlers just show up to work, just like we show up to work. Can some use the Hogan expertise? Yes. Have some have? Yes. Shawn Michaels didn't want to lose to Vader. We could even say Rey Mysterio. The plans was Rey Mysterio was supposed to be retired by Gunther at this WrestleMania, but Rey did not want to retire from Gunther. He wanted his son to retire him. So at one point it was like he had some kind of injury or something and he wasn't going to make it at WrestleMania because he had an injury. All of a sudden when they did that thing, they were announcing a 5-way ladder match. Now Rey says there's one person missing from this match and it's me. So that could be a politic thing. Now I love Rey Mysterio. Y'all can't make me hate the guy, but still that is a good example to use. Ray Hogan, Rey Mysterio Hogan, like if you want to say that. But still, sometimes wrestlers, they do want to try to protect their brand. They want to make sure things make sense, and sometimes they go about it right and sometimes they go about it wrong, or sometimes they just go about it because this is what they're hired to do. Stone Cold quit WWE because he didn't want to fight Brock Lesnar on free TV. It wasn't the fact that he was going to lose to Brock. It was the fact that it was something on a regular TV show, and it should have been a pay-per-view, not even a King of the Ring qualifier match. He felt that it should have been on pay-per-view, and I do agree with him. How he went about it, I don't like. He just quit. Sometimes you're going to do things you don't want to do, and he's apologetic for it. He said it. Hey, I apologize. I should have did something better than that, but I didn't. There's a lot of things, and just because something is negative or a wrestler does something negative, it doesn't mean that it's just a Hogan approach, right? Rhea may have a hold on the women's division. I don't know, but at the same time, I'm not going to harp on it. I'm not going to call her Rhea Hogan. I'm not going to call it. We're not going to sit there and act like she's not a great wrestler. We're not going to sit there and act like people don't like her and stuff like that. Even with Hogan, people say so much stuff about how Hogan wrestled in America and then compared it to Japan, but a lot of people didn't have the charisma to wear red and yellow like Hulk Hogan did. Sorry, like we got to be honest here. We can be mad at him all we want, but we're not going to sit and deny and act like the man didn't save it. People want to say, well, people can love Hulk Hogan and hate Terry. Sure. If that works for you, that works for you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I mean, even Cody. Some people call Cody Hogan and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not here to sit here and try to pinpoint which wrestler politics and which ones doesn't. Sometimes these wrestlers don't want to win titles. And I hate saying it like that and pulling the curtain back as far as it needs to be. Sometimes people just want to wrestle. You know, just go out and stuff. You know, and it is what it is. And I don't think that everybody has to be called a Hogan or politics and stuff like that. And you know, if they do come out years later when they're not wrestling there, or if they're just doing indie bookings or interviews and stuff, they want to say it, then that's on them or whatever. Can you be tired of a wrestler? Yes. You can definitely be tired of a wrestler winning a lot. I remember John Cena. Everybody was tired of John Cena winning and beating Shawn Michaels and HBK and Jericho and Kurt Angle. They were tired of him beating them. Called him Hogan. Said he need to be bad and be evil. 5 moves of doom. And then look at y'all now. Y'all see that wrestlers only have about 5 moves, but y'all penalized. Y'all penalized John Felix Anthony Cena. Y'all penalized him. Y'all penalized him for having 5 moves, and that's all people had. Shawn Michaels, 5 moves. Triple H, 5 moves. Undertaker, 5 moves. Stone Cold, probably 4, because all he did was mud on stomping and middle fingers. Y'all penalized that man. Now look at you. Now y'all miss him. Now y'all crying. I love y'all still. Well, come on now. We speaking facts. We're speaking facts here, man. Real, Raphael, facts. So still, not, you know, like I said, we could go with Cody losing the belt, not winning it for a long time. You know, I don't know what contracts are like. Things is different now from back in the day. Now, people in their contracts is like, I could be a champion and pay me and book my wife and do all of this and that. Like, things is like way different now. You get what I'm saying? It's way different to how certain things are. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes wrestlers just want to go out and wrestle. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not like a big personal thing or whatever like that. But we've seen a lot of people just literally just be like, well, they must be Hogan. They have to do something. Now, Sami, I don't think Sami has a lot of pull, honestly. I do think Sami is one of those guys that just show up and wrestle and stuff. And you know, a few months ago, people loved him. But then when he started winning titles and stuff, remember I made a video, Sami fatigue. People had Sami fatigue all of a sudden. I'm tired of seeing Sami. So Sami was just in more backstage segments, and he was just speaking and motivating people. It was so random, but still motivating people to go out and do your best. Comes back, faces Carmelo, beats Carmelo because Trick tried to hit Sami with the bottle or whatever, wound up hitting Carmelo, and then Sami took advantage of it. And then people booed because I think they were more upset about Carmelo basically not having his moment over Sami winning. But Sami had to take the collateral damage. He had to take all the damage from it. And them as wrestlers, they're trying to make him like be the guy that they hate. But no, they hate him because they want him to go away. Not everybody hates him and stuff. I mean, heck, when he attacked Little Yachty, people was mad at him. It was like, bro, why you attacking Little Yachty? He ain't do nothing to you, even though he did do stuff. But still, that's what I'm saying. That's how I want to feel. That's just my 2 cents and some change, more change, because 2 cents is change on the situation. Sure, it's like sometimes that could be definitely calling somebody Hogan or having Hogan as their last name is very derogatory. Mercedes Moné is also another one. As soon as she started winning a lot of titles, creative control, she got creative control. I hate that word at this point because so many people use it. And she was trolling people. And I said this yesterday when I was speaking about it. Oh, I have creative control. Yeah, I have creative control. Like, the only people that's responsible for creative control is the people who own the company. Now, if they let somebody have creative control, be mad at the company more than the wrestler. Because most people are going to try to look out for themselves and try to make sure that they're at the highest position on the card. So that's something to also think about. You know, some people didn't like Mercedes Moné and showing up, and then she started winning a lot, and winning titles and companies. They probably can't even name the company she won a belt on. They probably can't even name the current champion that beat Mercedes Moné for the title. But still, she's Hogan. She didn't even win the top title yet. She's probably going to, but still, some people are going to feel a certain way about that. Every time she's challenged for that top title, she has lost. Then she eventually lost the TBS title, then she started losing a lot of the other titles. But somehow, she's Hogan. You don't be mad at the people that have her in that position, honestly. Don't be mad at her. Some people just show up to work and they just tell these people what is expected of them, and then that's just it. So to sit here and turn around and be like, oh, well, you just this and that, and they just Hogan, these are the kind of people killing the business. How do you know? People that's killing the business, besides toxic stuff and negative stuff, is people assuming something because something isn't going their way. There are a lot of people who had a lot of WrestleMania bingo cards and didn't win nothing because their wrestler that they wanted to win didn't win. It didn't mean that they wanted to wish bad upon them and stuff. Like I said, Jade and Rhea, that was like one of Jade's best matches. My only takeaway from it were two things. I didn't like that Rhea won it, and I also didn't like the involvement of B-Fab, Michin, and even Io. The fact that little Io can take out two women is crazy to me. That was way taller than her, but still, I think that these two women could have just locked up and did it. And if Rhea would have won just straight up from the one-on-one fade, that'd have been cool too. But I don't have a grievance against Rhea, like, oh, well, it's just her. And maybe she did and maybe she didn't. Like I said, that's something that we'll dip into in another video. But still, Sami always losing when he comes to the world title, he came up short. But like I said, I do think that people are predicting he is going to win the main title WrestleMania next year in Saudi Arabia because they love him out there. So I do think that they are going to prep him for that. He's going to be cheered there and he may be booed here. Depends on the story. I think he's going to be booed here when he comes back to the States next year. You know, Lord willing. I'm going to say Lord willing because I don't want nothing bad to happen to him or anybody. You know what I'm saying? I want to be that, I ain't trying to be that kind of person. But still. But we'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully I did clarify why people call people Hogan and why I feel like it's ridiculous at some points when it comes to it and stuff like that. Sometimes people put on their boots and then put on their gear and they just want to wrestle, and then they get on social media and then somebody calling them the Hogan of the business or the next Hogan of the business and stuff like that. And honestly, Hogan is Hogan. He's his own self. And politics is another thing as well. There are people who politic wrestling shows way before Hogan has. Just because Hogan is one who considered the most successful wrestler doesn't mean he was the worst at it. I'll say that as well. We haven't heard all the stories about bad things that people have done to make sure that they are champions and stuff like that. And I'm an independent wrestler, and you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that I've heard about how people politic certain things to win titles and to go over on people. You'd be surprised. All due respect, height doesn't matter. Shawn Michaels is shorter than Vader. No, it's not. It's not that Shawn Michaels was shorter than Vader, and that's why Vader should have won. The problem was Vader was supposed to win because they booked him to win, but Shawn Michaels felt a certain way about losing to Vader. And Shawn also was like, Shawn was partying and drinking and doing a whole bunch of dark stuff. Like, he doesn't like talking about the past, but I am glad he gave his life to Christ. But yeah, he was just politicking. He didn't really want to lose the belt to Stone Cold. There's videos of him trying to kick the door out when they were doing press panels after Stone Cold won. So that's what I mean by that. It's not that. And honestly, I do believe believability is a very big, important thing when it comes to wrestling and stuff like that. But with Vader was always deemed almost unstoppable in Japan and in WCW. When he went to WWE, man, they hollowed him out, if that makes sense. But that's what I mean. But I am home. I'm about to enjoy these Popeyes. I hope you guys and gals have a wonderful day. Let's still talk about it in the comments. I'll still be here. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.